Welcome to the full moon in Libra reading. We got 3 cards here for you. My name's Castaspell. This is BB, and we're ready to get into these cards. We've got the Honey card, sweeten your approach. We've got the 9 of Cups, water element card, and we've got the Sunflower card, which also is the Sun card in this deck. And so, loving the way that the synchronicities worked with these two and their colors, and then these two and the colors, just all fitting together so nicely. I love all these cards so much. So let's start with the 9 of Cups card. So 9 being almost near the end of the Cups cards from 1 to 10. So 9 being approaching the end. That's the full understanding and the fullness of that element, and really just fully immersing yourself in that element, that being the water element in this case. So the emotional realm, the subconscious realm. How are we moving through this aspect of our life? How are we setting the tone for what it is that we want? I think that at this point, I think that if you're watching me, you have some extent of an understanding that we create our reality. And of course, that's very simplistic, and it can feel like it's writing off a lot of our experience as humans. But the reality is that there's always a perspective to witness any situation, anything that is happening in your life, around you, for you, to you, so on and so forth. We have the opportunity to choose our reactions. That is a fact. That is not hippie woo-woo shit. That is just a fact that we have the choice to direct our emotions. Yes, it is not easy because we don't live in a society that cares about teaching us how to maneuver through our emotional realm. I mean, we're just getting to the point where we're dealing with our mental health. And then how are we going to get to the point to our emotional health? Because those are two things that can sometimes work independently of each other. Sometimes they work together. And when they work together, that is the 9 of Cups card. This card speaks to, I like to call it the Make-A-Wish card, because you have an opportunity to create your wish. Like, what is it that you want? Can you feel like you have it? And I'll say, what is interesting is that I feel like I just recently uncovered this for myself, particularly, that it was not easy for me to conjure the joy feelings at first. It's always been more easy for me to conjure the fear, or not really fear, but anger, grief, these things that they're just easy to call up because there's plenty of instances around that can call up those things. But when we're calling in joy, it's less practiced. It's like a muscle that we don't use that often. And so when we can call in more joy, when we can speak to ourselves in a kind way, when we can have hope for the future, have hope for something better to happen, good things can come into our lives. And sure, there's aspects of that that's going to make us feel like we don't deserve it, or it's frustrating that not everybody can have it all the time, and not everybody has the privilege and ability to be able to move through their healing and understand their emotions. That is true. That is very true. But you, me, everybody, nobody's going to be able to help anybody else if you can't do for yourself first. So you've got to set the tone, emotionally speaking. And the 9 of Cups would insist that you have that power. And the more that you lean into it, the better off you're going to be. Understand your emotional realm. Understand the reactions that you're having. Understand that you can set the tone. And yes, it does take shadow work. Yes, it does take finding help where you can and doing whatever you can to unearth whatever is going on with you that makes you not able to flex the joy muscle, or the muscle of the emotion that you do want in your life. But take the opportunity to figure that out, because it is worth it. It is more than worth it. And then we've got the Honey card, which is giving me both like a little bit of orange, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of the same as my shirt, the same as this flower. But sweeten your approach. Like, so it's giving me solar plexus chakra and sacral chakra. So how are you enacting your creativity? How are you enacting your connections with others? Like Libra moon is always going to be about how am I fostering connections? How am I fostering a connection with myself, with my higher self, with my guides, with my spirits? How are you giving that sweetness to yourself, to the people around you, to the animals around you, to the earth around you? We have to be kind. We have to, even in the face of all of this horrible, frustrating, intense, scary, all of the negative adjectives you can think of time, because even if things get worse tomorrow, we still have to come at it with kindness. We still have to come at it with respect. We still have to come at it with empathy and it being life and love and support and care for ourselves so that we can spill over from our cup onto others. It's really important that we, create something for ourselves that makes life feel a little sweeter, a little bit more hopeful. Like, it's worth it. It's worth it because when we start to feel better, we can pave the way for others to feel better. If we don't feel good, then we go on the spiral downward to infinity. And the last card, the sunflower card. Solar card, again, solar plexus, this energy of connecting, shining our light. There's some things to understand about the sunflower as a flower. It is peaks in the height of summer, so it's usually Leo season, the hottest part of the year. It's not like your average flowers who grow up and then they get smaller and more petite and more light as they move up to the top. These flowers are one hardy stalk and a giant head at the top with seeds, tons of seeds, and they just look up to the sun, and then when it cools or when their heads are too full with the seeds and they're about to die, the heads drop down and they spread their seeds to the earth. And so this is about finding the balance between our confidence and our belief in ourselves and our belief in what it is that we're doing in the world, and not letting our ego run rampant in our life, and paying attention to how are we maneuvering with pride and self-centeredness when we could be gracious and owning our leadership in a way that is like actually functional and actually helpful, instead of a bunch of leaders who are just trampling on everybody without a care in the world. We got plenty of those. We don't need more of those. We need people who are willing to stand in their power and stand in their truth, and also not be too big for their britches, not be too big to know what it feels like to be on the other side of things. We've all been through enough to know, like, we need to stay grounded in ourselves. These have the sturdy stalk, the deep roots. It's firmly grounded in the physical reality and also open to the solar spiritual reality. And so the sunflower is asking us to really stand in our truth, stand in our beauty, stand in what we have to offer this world without letting it get out of check, because the sunflower can be totally invasive because it's got so many seeds. Also, the seeds in the Fibonacci sequence in the inside of the head of the flower. Just something to think about, because I think about the Fibonacci sequence a lot, especially when I'm talking about quantum physics and quantum theory and the ways that everything is tied together, and it's not linear, it's circular, it's spiral. Just believe in yourself, Believe that you can do this. Believe that the sun's going to shine. Believe that the height of summer is coming. And I am absolutely positive it's going to be a wild ride. And so prepare ourselves now. Prepare ourselves by being confident in ourselves and believing in ourselves, sweetening our approach to the situation, and understanding functionally our emotions to the best of our ability so that we can reset them, so that we can actually get what we want and need in this world. And not just for ourselves, but for the collective. Because when we can serve our highest good and give back, we can actually create a better world. There can be hope. I want to believe. So yes, thank you, and I will see you next time.